How's it going, y'all? Eric here. Welcome to Monday Night Racing, the second race of the Season 5 playoffs. As I just said, my name is Eric Eastep. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to the Out of the Groove pre-race show. As you can see right next to me, that is a live look at the Carolina eSports Hub, home of the Charlotte Phoenix, where we have a bunch of drivers actually racing in person. They got all their sim rigs set up. You can see George Bell fans right there, one of our playoff drivers in the foreground. So going to be a cool event tonight. We've got green flag coming up shortly after 8 p.m. Eastern time, but I wanted to welcome you all in here live. I saw a lot of you guys vibing in the chat to the intro music, courtesy of Podium eSports. No, I did not make that beat. I didn't see who asked. Somebody asked if I made the beat. I did not, but I wish I did. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. But welcome to the show. I wanted to welcome everyone in here because last week was the first race of the playoffs, raced Miatas at the Daytona Road Course. It was a great show, but I saw a lot of people in the first segment of the show asking a lot of questions. What is this, Eric? This is a new thing, and it's not entirely new to the channel. We've done iRacing streams, iRacing broadcasts before. We've teamed up with Podium eSports before. We've done some pretty incredible themed broadcasts with them in the past. But this is something a little bit new. This is Monday Night Racing, which has been going on for, like I said, now they're in their 5th season. A lot of real world drivers, industry personnel, great sim racers come together to make this event possible. And so it's been really cool to be a part of it. So we got a great show for you ahead tonight. Old Texas, not New Texas, not the one that I know a lot of you guys, I can see you guys in the chat already like, Texas? What Texas? No, Old Texas, the legacy Texas in the sim, Texas from, I believe, 2009. It was a good year for Texas Motor Speedway, probably its peak, if I have to say. So it should be a good show tonight. Welcome everyone to the chat. When's the race start? Like I said, it'll start just after 8 p.m. Eastern time. Pre-race show will go about 20 to 30 minutes here. We do have some fun segments coming up that I want to that we'll throw it to here in just a moment. And thanks for the super chat, Tornado. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Appreciate the support, and thanks for showing some encouraging words here. Very excited for this race to start. So it's been a busy week of NASCAR news in the real world. I know a lot of people in the chat are still talking about that. I do want to give a shout out. I didn't have his name. Hold on, I want to make sure I get the name right real quick. Joshua Burns on Twitter. I don't know if he's watching. He's probably not watching. He's probably still on Twitter. But thank you, Joshua, for bringing this to my attention. My video I posted last night actually made it to 23rd on the YouTube trending page, which has never happened before. Pretty cool accomplishment, I guess. I didn't do anything. It's really just people being interested in NASCAR. I wish they were interested in NASCAR for something besides, the winners getting disqualified, but it's still cool nonetheless that NASCAR has been trending, making headlines today. That's pretty freaking cool. So appreciate all you guys tuning in. Will you be at Indianapolis this year? I will not be at Indianapolis this weekend, unfortunately, but I went last year, and it's pretty cool that they do IndyCar and NASCAR kind of the same weekend, same place. I think that's pretty awesome. So encourage anyone who's out there in the area to tune in. So where's Larry McReynolds? I don't know. We'll have to get Larry Mack on one of these broadcasts. I think he would certainly do a better job than I would. That's absolutely 100% true. Yes, and thank you, Tornado, for reminding everyone in the chat that it's Legacy Texas tonight. It's not New Texas, it's not progressive banking. It's just less banking in turns 1 and 2. No PJ1, no virtual PJ1 on the track tonight. That's key. That's most important. And I appreciate the comments. Should go to Watkins Glen one of these years, in real life or in the sim. Probably you mean in real life. I'd love to go to Watkins Glen. I just went to Pocono for the first time. It was a blast. I'll have to head back up to the Northeast sometime in the future, head to a different track. I've heard good things about Watkins Glen. Is Watkins Glen going to be packed later this summer? I imagine. I hope so. Hey, glad I got to meet you as well. Cool Chase 9 fan. I'm sure you were excited with the end result. You guys are seeing right now a live look in again at the Carolina eSports Hub, where a bunch of drivers tonight are racing in person. They've all come together. That's right. They don't just exist in computer screens. I guess you're still seeing them through a computer screen, but they are there in person, in the flesh. So if tempers spill over off track, they can actually throw real punches if things get particularly heated. But like I said, this is the playoffs, which means there are 13 drivers running for the Monday Night Racing Season 5 championship. Just to run through them real quick, David Shieldhouse broke through and got the win last week at Daytona, so he is locked into the next round. But there's still Anthony Alfredo, Will Rogers, Adam Cabot, Presley Sora, Colin Fern, Ryan Vargas, Max Kennan, Gary Sexton, James Bickford, George Belfans Jr., Matt Stalnick, Nick Olson. They are all still competing for one of those 10 eligible spots that will move into the next round. So the way Monday Night Racing does things, and you could see it on the screen just a second ago, but they have 7 playoff races. Each round is 2, leading up to, of course, the championship, which will be, as you can see, Homestead in the trucks. One thing I love about Monday Night Racing, and why I was so excited to be a part of this, these playoffs, is that they mix things up. There's a great variety there. Like I said, they ran Miatas last week, Xfinity cars tonight at Old Texas, trucks, ARCA, IndyCar, open wheel. Of course, we've got the future, next gen as well, but the season wraps up with trucks. So love the variety, love the diversity of tracks and of cars. And like I said earlier, of drivers. I want to welcome everyone who's just tuned in. We'll be at Kansas later this year. I don't know. I'd like to go to Kansas. I actually just went to the state of Kansas for the first time in my life a few months ago. Drove kind of out by the track. Seems like a nice area. Definitely want to come back and see a race. Not sure if it'll happen this year, but does Dave Blaney still own Sharon Speedway? I'm pretty sure. Oh, we already got some tweets. Oh, sweet deal. Charlotte Phoenix sent a tweet shouting out our guys, David Shieldhouse and Ryan Vargas, are in the House Night Racing and the Monday Night Racing playoffs. Let's go. That's cool. Yeah, you guys can't hear it. I got producers in my ear telling me, oh my gosh, we can throw tweets up on screen. I had no idea. I love that it kind of fits this little green screen I have here. It's framed very nicely. This is big time. I couldn't do all this by myself. You guys know that. So pretty awesome team here at Podium eSports making things happen. But Watkins Glen sells out every year. Kyle, thanks for reminding me. That's why I don't know if I'm going to make it this year. Might be a tight squeeze. I'll have to find a hill somewhere to squeeze into. But no, that's great that Watkins Glen always gets good turnout. But good to see everyone. Thanks for the kind words, Jimmy. Thank you, Tornado, again. Rooting for Alfredo today. He is my favorite to win. Yeah, I want to ask you guys real quick before we toss it over and get to know some of these drivers a little better. I want to know right now, who's your pick to win tonight? I just ran through a bunch of playoff drivers, some names you probably recognize. Obviously, Anthony Alfredo, Will Rogers, Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern, David Shieldhouse. Could he go back-to-back 2 in a row? Let me know down in the chat who you think is going to win. We got 1 pick already for Ryan Vargas. Actually, a couple picks already for Ryan Vargas. Alfredo. I know last week Anthony Alfredo was the heavy favorite. You can see right now on screen a good look here at how the playoffs sort of progress. Go from 13 to 10 to 7, then of course to your championship 4. Got some Shieldhouse fans in the chat as well. No, Darian is not ready. I don't know if he's esports ready. He's not racing tonight. I don't know that Darian could qualify for the playoffs. This is a pretty stacked field. All due respect to Darian, but a lot of Ryan Vargas, Anthony Alfredo. So I guess we got a lot of real world NASCAR Xfinity Series fans. So it's great that we're racing the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars tonight again at Legacy, Texas. I know it says Texas in the title, and people are going, "Oh, Texas!" No, this is like the peak of Texas Motor Speedway. This is a Texas Motor Speedway I grew up going to. This is the Texas Motor Speedway I fell in love with NASCAR at. So I think you guys are going to have a good time. We know the Xfinity cars race great everywhere. We got a few other shout outs in here. We got Nick Olson, Will Rogers getting some credit. Jimmy Johnson, no, is not racing tonight. But, on that note, congrats to Jimmy Johnson getting his first career IndyCar top 5 at Iowa the other day. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to see the 7-time NASCAR champ having some success on ovals in open wheel racing. That's pretty great. And we have another person, I'm not the only one here from Texas. We have Ariana is also from Texas and is asking everyone to please be nice to Texas Motor Speedway. Yes, please. Let's not pile on current Texas. Tonight's all about old legacy Texas, the Texas that we'll be telling our children and our children's children about. Not 2022 Texas. 2009 Texas is way, way better. Stephen Ellis picking the 46 to win. We got a lot of different picks in the chat. Last week it was a very Anthony Alfredo heavy chat, and I believe he finished on the podium. Tonight seems like everyone's going kind of a different direction. There's no clear consensus down in the chat. Again, I want to say real quick that what you're looking at here to my left, to your right, you're looking live in at the Carolina Esports Hub, where a bunch of our drivers tonight are racing in person Of course, you'll all see the virtual race here on YouTube and on Twitch, but it's pretty cool that a lot of drivers are actually able to race in person. They have a really cool setup over there, so we'll be peeking in there from time to time. And before we get ready to go green and introduce the booth here in a short bit, I do want to give you guys a chance to get to know some of these drivers, especially some of the playoff drivers. Again, 13 playoff drivers going for that Season 5 championship. I want you guys to get to know them a little bit more. So I sat down with each driver, and they talk about iRacing all the time. It's like racing's in their blood. Racing is on the top of the mind 24/7, 365. I wanted to try and get them away from that a little bit. We all love not just iRacing, but other video games as well. I know I've played video games my entire life. Who hasn't? So I wanted to ask every playoff driver what their favorite video game or video game series is outside of racing games like iRacing. So here's what some of them said. Let's see if you can pick your favorite out. What is your favorite non-racing video game?
My favorite non-racing video game is Destiny 2. I've been playing the Destiny franchise since it came out. Back in 2014 with Destiny 1, I've put thousands of hours into that game. So if I'm not doing sim racing, I'm probably playing that.
That would probably have to be like Grand Theft Auto. As violent as they are, every once in a while, it's fun to jump on there with some buddies. Honestly, I probably play once every about 6 months for like 4 hours, and then I'm spent for another 6 months, and then I'll just put it down, put it away.
Do we count Rocket League as a racing game?
No,
I mean, it's cars, but it's not really racing.
No, there's no racing element to it. So that's a good pick.
Okay, I'll say Rocket League then, because that's fun.
Rocket League, hands down. Love Rocket League. I like physics-based games and stuff, so yeah, it's definitely Rocket League.
Yeah, it's fun. The cars feel very, the point is they feel very floaty and slippery, but it's just like fun to play. I don't know. It's like Mario Kart with soccer balls.
Rocket League, for sure.
Okay.
I'm actually Grand Champ 2 in Rocket League, so in the top 0.5% or so. That's definitely my main game outside of iRacing.
My favorite non-racing video game is probably going to have to be Call of Duty. More specifically, my favorite Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. But I follow the whole franchise and play everyone. Every time a new game comes out, I always grind it for a little while.
Madden, 2K, MLB The Show, professional sport video games. Those are a lot of fun. The career modes are just... It's kind of fun to live vicariously through a video game.
I love the show video games. The MLB games were some of my favorites.
Man, I suck at hitting in the new one. Like I use PC. I cannot hit the ball. I can pitch great. I've thrown like 3 perfect games, but I cannot hit.
I don't play many non-racing related video games, but I guess one that you could say I got into over the last 2 years, during being locked inside, Among Us was one.
Yeah, that was a thing for a while.
And then there's another one called Crab Game, and it's basically a spoof of Squid Game, and it's fun.
I'll get into first-person shooters every once in a while. I'm not very good, but at least once or twice a year I'll get into Fortnite or Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that for a month or two.
I'm gonna go with Halo Infinite. I big fan of that franchise.
Our group has been really into Fortnite again lately since they took the building away.
Oh,
my coordination with the building wasn't very good, so outside of iRacing, which isn't much, that's about it.
From personal experience, I would have to say CS:GO. I was an avid CS:GO player for just a few years, but I've logged over 5,000 hours on a few different accounts on that or on that game. So I love that game, but man, it's stressful.
I really like, especially when I was younger, the Sly Cooper video games on the PlayStation.
That's my all-time favorite. Did you know that? Answering that, did you know that that's
No, is that your favorite?
That's my all-time. Hold on, now I gotta show this to you. I'll be back. 1 second. A while back, my dad made me this.
No way. That's awesome.
I took it with me when I moved out. I was like, I gotta find a spot for this. So no,
holy crap.
That's my new favorite answer. Doing all these. Yeah, I may be a bit biased, but after Max gave that Sly Cooper answer right there, I think not to spoil my pick for later, but I'm feeling some good vibes there. But yeah, a great chance to get to know some of our playoff drivers here tonight before we go green in about the next 15 minutes or so. Appreciate everyone tuning in so far. Great to see all you guys commenting live in the live chat. I'll be monitoring that all night long, not like in a hall monitor sort of way, in like a best friend sort of way. I'll try to chime in during the race as much as possible. Now, you got a little taste of some of the big personalities we have racing in Monday Night Racing, but we want to highlight one driver in particular. This week's featured driver is James Bickford. Let's check it out.
He is formerly a two-time winner in what we now know as the ARCA West Series, but he also finally broke through and got his first ever Monday Night Racing win. James Bickford fighting for a championship, and hey, you have that real-world racing experience under your belt with a couple of wins, a couple of seasons in ARCA West. Take me through a little bit of what your career path looked like inside the motorsports world in real life.
Coming on 20 years of racing now. 2 seasons, as you mentioned, in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series, which is now the ARCA West Series, and having some success there with Bob Roncati and moving me from California to Charlotte. My life consists of holding steering wheels and turning them left and right. Now that I work for BMW as a professional driver, we have a purpose-built racetrack in Greer, South Carolina, and I go out there and I teach people how to drive our M cars. I drift around, I do some fun stuff, and I show them and lead by example.
And through your real-life racing, your entire life, how did iRacing jump into the equation for you and that become a path that you started on?
In about late 2008, early 2009, I took a visit out to Stuart Haas Racing Development. And at the time, it was Alex Bowman, Cole Custer, and Nick Drake. And I went out and stayed at Cole Custer's house for a couple weeks. And before I came out there, they told me to get iRacing because it was going to be hugely beneficial to, the stuff that we were doing. And I had never heard of it before, so I got a steering wheel. The whole start of the Charlotte Phoenix was because I love Rocket League. Like, that's my main game. I play Rocket League all the time. Charlotte Phoenix, obviously being in Charlotte, I was like, wow, that's the local team. I'm going to support them. I was at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coke 600 just over a year ago now. And they were doing a Rocket League tournament, and it was playing on the big screen. And I met some individuals, and one of them was CJ Collins, who is one of the founders of Charlotte Phoenix. I told him, how are you in Charlotte, North Carolina, and don't have an iRacing team? We got a Coke Series team, and now I'm team manager.
Who is James Bickford, and what are some of the things that you're passionate about outside of the racing world?
I like dabbling in so many different things, man. For a 2-year period, I was throwing rap concerts. There's this kid named Joey Padgett, who was a super late mod racer. He and his friend Reed Wilson were actually, they did music and they rapped. And I'm like, okay, let's throw a concert. 200, 300 people show up for a show. It was super awesome. I flew people out. And from that, I got a lot of attention. And a lot of people came up to me afterwards that were involved in the event. And they're like, I want you to do my stuff. I want you to do my stuff. And I was really involved in the Charlotte music scene in terms of throwing events. And then, boom, COVID hit right that February. I'm just a weird person. I have 2 flying squirrels sitting back there. So I am a person that likes to go down the path not taken. I mean, life's too short not to experience a whole bunch of different things. So I always like picking up new things and adventures and stuff like that. I think life experience is the most valuable thing.
And we are now joined live by James Bickford. You just got to know him a bit. Fantastic Rocket League player. I'm reading the chat. Tornado says he's now your new favorite driver in the series just because of the Rocket League connection. So any way those Rocket League skills translate to iRacing? Is there any translation there?
Man, unless there's boost and I'm flying up in the air, not really. But it's a physics-based game, so I guess some things did translate from iRacing to Rocket League, and I guess Rocket League to iRacing. But yeah, that's an all-time favorite of mine.
It's still got 4 wheels, but if you're flying through the air in iRacing, something's probably gone horribly wrong. James, you come into this race just ahead of the cut line, trying to make it to the next round of the playoffs. So do you change the way you race at all tonight? Is there any stress there, or are you just going to go out there and try to do your thing?
No, I'm pretty decent at the mile and a halfs with the B cars, with the Xfinity cars, so I'm not too worried. Last week was a little bit of a struggle because I was out in California and I didn't really have an ideal sim rig to use. So I was having all kind of internet problems and frame drops. So I'm just happy that we were able to have a good enough finish where I'm not in a must win situation. So not really going to change much. Just gonna run my best race here.
Cool. You got that home field advantage once again this week. Well, good luck tonight, James. We appreciate it. We'll be watching you out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. And now we're kind of doing like a virtual grid walk of sorts. I'm going to see if we can get, who do we have coming up here? We've got Matt Stalnick, I believe. Matt, can you hear us? I don't know if he has his headphones on.
How you doing?
Oh, you got us. Sweet. Cool. Yes, Matt Stalnick here. Matt, we were just talking to James Bickford, who's, I believe, 1 point to the good in points. I want to ask you, you're one of the first guys just below that cut line, minus just a few points back. So how do you go into this race at Legacy, Texas?
Well, I think you just got to go and try to just go get a top 5. There's really not a whole lot else you can control, like when you're outside the cut line like that. So I'm just going full bore, going for the win, gonna go for a top 5. That's really all you can do.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like you got a pretty cool atmosphere you're there in the middle of. Is there any chance all those flashing lights and stuff, is that a distraction to you tonight?
No, I don't think it's a distraction at all. If anything, it really amps you up. It makes you, at least for me, I feel more invested in the experience, and it helps me focus in a weird sort of way when you know that, like, you have people watching you, you're in a live environment, the drivers are like right there. The excitement, I definitely feed into it. So I think it's awesome. I wish we could do it every week, and I think eventually down the line that's the goal. So this is awesome.
It looks awesome. I got to make it out there in person sometime. Well, good luck tonight, Matt. Go get those points. We'll be watching the 41 car.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks, guys.
Sweet deal. And I know we're running pretty short on time. I'm not sure if we have time. I'm literally Michael Waltrip right here, but I'm not physically running. I'm not sure if we have time to cut to anybody else. So I think now, with just a few minutes before the car's grid, it's a good chance to bring in the booth, the gentleman who will be doing the play-by-play, who will be calling the race tonight. We've got Blake McCandless and Jacob Hitz. Gentlemen, can you hear me? Are you there?
We got you, Eric. Thank you so much, and great job hosting the whole pre-race show. I know you did a great job with that there. I was hoping, Jacob, that we could pull in Mike Clay, because I want to ask him in my fantasy keeper league if I need to keep Travis Kelce or not. That's one question I was going to ask him. So hopefully at some point he either crashes or finishes top 3 tonight. Maybe we could ask him the question. But on a more serious note, Jacob, a lot going on tonight. Obviously, this is a cutoff race. We have live competitors that are racing in person against each other at the Charlotte eSports Hub in Charlotte, North Carolina. So a big night for Monday Night Racing tonight.
The stakes already high with the fact that you're right. We're sending guys home after tonight that are racing for a championship. One of them going to be Nick Olson. He's not here. He seemed to indicate last week that he's not going to be here. So we've got 2 guys that are going to get cut tonight that we don't know exactly who they are. It could be 2 of 11 guys, really. Well, 2 of 10 since David Schulthouse won last week. And I think that's going to play a little bit into potential strategy that we could see through this thing. And you know, we get a late race caution. Could open the door for somebody on the outside, like Matt Stalnick. He pits, takes 2 tires, winds up at the front of the field on a late race restart. That could be crucial for somebody like him who really needs a good run tonight, and perhaps some misfortune from some others in order to have a shot to get out of Texas with his playoff hope still alive.
Well, and one other thing about tonight, Jacob, we love about Monday Night Racing, or one thing we love about Monday Night Racing, is the variety of vehicles, the variety of tracks we go to. Miata's Daytona Road Course, an entirely different setup than what we have tonight. I know Eric talks about it as a Texas native himself, well documented about running this older version of Texas. This original scan was laid down. This is 2009 laser scan Texas in the Xfinity cars for tonight. Very familiar combo for these drivers that have been racing on the iRacing service for a long time, but also I think we've talked about it quite a bit, a track that is well documented to put on some great racing.
Well, and interestingly enough, this is the first time we're doing this combo in Monday Night Racing. Of course, we pulled the Xfinity cars out to a similar racetrack in Charlotte just a couple of weeks ago, not the same to Texas. You're under the sun. You're not under the lights like we were at Charlotte. So the racetrack's hot. It's going to be slick. And this track races a lot different than it does now since they changed the track, repaved it, made turn 1 and 2 wider. I always felt like this version of Texas brought us better racing. And with these Xfinity cars, I think these cars bring out some of the best racing on the service, perhaps other than the 87s. So I think we're really going to be in for a good show tonight with these cars and with this field of drivers.
Certainly so, Jacob, and we will get that started here in just a couple of moments as drivers are right now about to wrap up practice and begin qualifying here. But why don't we go ahead and throw it down for the invocation from Lonnie Klaus, as well as our national anthem being sung tonight by John Carlos.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to participate in this event today. We thank you for the privilege to live in the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We commit this event to you, and may we please you. We'll give you the thanks. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free?
Thank you very much, John Carlos, there for the singing of our national anthem. But, Jacob, let's not waste any further time. It is time for picks for tonight's race. Who are you taking?
Well, I had a hard time trying to figure out who I wanted to pick tonight. Initially, I was thinking maybe somebody that was toward that cut line, somebody like a George Belfans Jr. or Matt Stalnick. I decided to completely change up that strategy and go with somebody that's not even in the playoffs, that's just racing for a win. We've talked with them in these last two races now, had some good finishes as of late. I'm taking the 15 to Garrett Smithley.
And you can see it pop right there on your screen. Jacob's going to go with Garrett Smithley. Unfortunately, Kenneth Bueno feeling a little bit under the weather tonight. We wish him well. He's going to go with Presley Sora, a very popular pick. You can see my pick right there. I'm going to go with the 94 of George Belfans Jr. racing live and in a position where right now he would be on the outside looking in terms of these playoffs. So I'm going to go with the driver, the 94, George Belfans Jr. And Eric, you're going to go with Maxwell Kinnon.
Yeah, I'm going with Max in the 21 car tonight. I think he's going to have a great run. He's in a solid points position, got a few points there, cushion between him and the cut line. So I think he'll have a little less pressure on his shoulders than maybe some of the others, if that's even possible. The points are still so tight, but I think racing a little loose here at Texas Motor Speedway, I think that'll play to your benefit. So I'm going with Max Kennan in the 21.
Now, remember, we were here a little bit earlier on in the year in the Radicals at the newer configuration of the Texas Motor Speedway, and it was Maxwell Kinnan that did visit Victory Lane. But Jacob, looking at our Texas Motor Speedway track facts tonight, throwing it back tonight, much different than what we've become accustomed to seeing out of Texas these last few years.
Back to the old racetrack, the old layout, the old pavement here at Texas Motor Speedway. 24 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2 and in turns 3 and 4. There's no change as far as that is concerned. Still a 1.5 mile racetrack. Your typical, almost cookie-cutter-esque racetrack, similar to how Atlanta was before its current change, as well as Charlotte. And that's pretty much what Texas Motor Speedway was designed to be when it was built back in 1997. Of course, that's when it opened. And the racing hit or miss throughout the years, but I really think that we miss the racing that we used to get here now.
Certainly so. I think everybody kind of likes the racing, and even on the iRacing service way back in the day before the configuration, this was one of the premier 1.5 mile facilities in the iRacing service. It's just such a fun racetrack, and I think pair that with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Chevrolets, Fords, and Toyotas that we'll see tonight, it will put on one heck of a show as we will count down these last few moments. Qualifying wrapping up right now. And, well, Jacob, we have a lot of names at the front of the field, some that are very familiar, some that are not. But at the top of the board, it looks like it is going to be Corey Heim, who takes the fastest time in 28.899. Once we get things rolling here, Corey Heim will be your pole sitter.
Yeah, really interesting for these guys going through qualifying, somebody that's not in the playoffs on the front row. And then you've got a lot of playoff drivers stacking up throughout the rest of the top 10. Looks like our furthest guy is David Schildhouse, who did not chose not to qualify. Really interesting for him. I know he didn't think he had a shot to win coming into tonight. Kind of glad he got the win last week at the Daytona Road Course, but he's pretty much running tonight so he can play spoiler and try and be somebody that can kind of maybe have an influence on who he has to race with coming through these next 2 weeks, for the championship. So it's going to be all strategy.
And Eric, looking at this top 11 or so, or even top 12, if you want to count that, I'll even go back to top, or really just top 15. There is one series that sticks out more than any other series looking at all these names, and that's the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Corey Heim on the pole, obviously running full-time in the Truck Series this year, but you have Anthony Alfredo in second, Ryan Vargas in third, Colin Fern, he works for Brandon Built Motorsports, he's starting fifth tonight. You have Brad Perez, who, by the way, just announced today that he will be making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course, driving the number 13. So Brad Perez up in the top 10. You have Gabe Wood, works for JD Motorsports. Garrett Smithley has run some NASCAR Xfinity Series races this year. Will Rogers has been in that series. Robbie Lyons in the past. Bailey Curry. I mean, the top 15 is pretty much all right now an Xfinity show.
Yeah, it fits perfectly that we've got the Xfinity cars running tonight. I think it's going to be great. It's what they're supposedly should be the most comfortable with. So I think it's going to be a pretty great show. I'm watching those guys up front, Anthony Alfredo especially. I know he wasn't my pick, but I like the speed there I saw in qualifying.
A lot of speed out of a lot of those drivers who are very familiar with this race car. Just a couple moments ago, you saw the scene at the Charlotte eSports Hub in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, remember, to wrap up Season 4, and there you see the shot right there, to wrap up Season 4, the championship was a live event. Broadcasters, everybody were there, and you had your 4 championship contenders live there on that stage. As you could see right there, a little pre-race chat going on between George Belfance Jr., Brad Perez, I believe that's Matt Stalnick, that's that third driver down, down, fourth driver down, is an empty chair right now, perhaps taking a little bit of a break right here before we eventually get going. But Jacob, this is kind of where you want to be at the end of the year. We're going to have more than likely this championship event here. It's all about getting on stage and making sure you're a part of this championship event. And we know the atmosphere, the intensity is so much different in real life. And, you know, Jacob, the one thing this is missing is a boxing ring. I am still of the belief that if you're going to have a live sim racing event, you got to have a boxing ring and some boxing gloves, because this isn't hiding behind a keyboard. You can actually hash it out when you're racing in real life against each other.
Maybe that's something to keep in mind for next season. But we've got, I think, 11 guys in total that are running the race tonight at the Charlotte Esports Hub, or Carolina Esports Hub. It's going to be so much fun for those guys and for the people that are there watching them compete. 5 playoff drivers are there running tonight. One of them locked in Shieldhouse. The other 4 not locked in. In fact, the other 4 that are there, Vargas, Stalnick, Fern, and Balfans Jr., those guys aren't necessarily safe as far as the playoffs go. Fern at 12 points in. He's the closest to surviving this round and moving on. Stalnick, Belfans, they are both out. Belfans by 1 point, Stalnick out by 7 coming into tonight. So it'll be really interesting for those guys. They're right there in the thick of it. So a lot of eyeballs going to be on them, because there's a lot of playoff implications in that room.
Certainly so, and the full list of drivers that will be competing at the Charlotte Esports Hub that are in this race tonight: Josh Slate, it'll be Ford Martin, Robbie Lyons, Brett Baldeck, Ryan Vargas, Garrett Smithley, David Schoenhaus, Matt Stalnick, Brad Perez, Colin Fern, and George Belfans Jr. Those are the 8 drivers that will be competing live in that Esports Hub. You can see many of them on your screen right now. The Season 5 playoff standings with just 1 race left to go. Of course, we talked about Nick Olson not going to be in attendance tonight, so he will be eliminated from playoff contention. So we'll drop 2 of the remaining 12 drivers to make 10 for next week's race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll go back to Daytona as well, and then Auto Club in Atlanta in the round of 7, and then that championship race for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Battery is going to take place at the Homestead Miami Speedway, a track that is very conducive to settling a championship and doing it the right way. When we come back, we are ready to drop the green flag for the Atlas Hair Products 120 at Texas. We'll be right back. You won't miss a moment of it.
Oh my god. Ooh, this smells really nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that smells like a man.
So good. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh. Like, when I picture a hot guy in my mind, this is what it smells like.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street, everywhere. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable.
We are ready to get things going at Texas, and to get us started, we throw it down to our Grand Marshal for tonight, Chris Worm.
Good evening. On behalf of My Hair and the greatest smelling hair product on earth, we'd like to present to you the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines.
And the engines are fired here in the Atlas Hair Products 120 at Texas as these drivers are set and ready to go. You can see the starting grid right at the bottom of your screen. It'll be Corey Heim, your pole sitter tonight, 29.899 seconds for the top spot. It'll be Anthony Alfredo out of the NASCAR Xfinity Series that will start to the outside of row number 1. To the inside of row number 2, another NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, Ryan Vargas, will start in third. Fourth will go to the 17, your season 4 champion in Adam Cabot. Colin Fern, Championship 4 contender, looking to pick up on a solid run last week. He'll start in 5th tonight. Bailey Turner, he'll start in the 6th position in the number 5 car. Starting at 7th, you heard from him earlier tonight, James Bickford out of the Charlotte Phoenix with, again, a brand new Xfinity Series driver in Brad Perez rolling off in 8th. Inside of row number 5 is Presley Sora starting in 9th, and Gabe Wood, Jacob, rounds out your top 10.
My pick to win tonight, Garrett Smithley lines up in the 11th spot. Will Rogers, who currently sits 3rd in points, 15 points above the cut line, will line up in 12th. Gary Sexton, 4 points above the cut line, will start 13th. Robbie Lyon starts in 14th. Bailey Curry, another JD Motorsports guy, he starts 15th. Justin Malillo will start from the 16th spot. Max Kennan, again, 4 points to the good for him. He starts 17th. Clayton Sabile on the outside. Then it's Matt Stalnick, who is 7 points out. And Charlie Brown rounding out the top 20.
Starting in 21st, it'll be Brandon Brown, not the Xfinity Series driver, but former earner of Rise eSports, or at least that's what it's termed now, is Brandon Brown. George Belfans Jr., a tire changer for Alpha Prime in 22nd. 23rd will be Ford Martin. Joshua Slate, he'll start from the 24th spot. Starting in 25th tonight from Kicking the Tires, it'll be Seth Eggert with Mark Revillis to his outside in 26th. Michael Massey will roll off from the 27th position. 28th, again, I was going to ask him, should I keep Travis Kelsey? We'll have to hope that he gets up to the top 3 tonight, so I can ask him that question. Will be Mike Clay. Dakota Curtis will start in 29th. Case Kallenbach will round out your top 30. 31st will be David Schildhouse, selected not to take a qualifying time, along with Shane Van Gisbergen, and the rest of the drivers throughout the rest of your grid. Stephen Ellis, Brett Baldeck, Steve Affont, and Malik Ray, NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver. He may be somebody, Jacob, that can run through this field on his way to the front. 120 laps set to take place here at the Texas Motor Speedway tonight. We'll take a look at our weather. 79 degrees ambient temperature, partly cloudy skies. You can see that track temperature, though, it is scorching. 129 degrees Fahrenheit, and a temperature, Jacob, that will likely only increase throughout the rest of the night.
You're right. It'd be fun to watch Malik cut through the field. Problem is, he showed up for practice, and that was it. Fuel tank 75%, 3 sets of tires on pit road. Should be a good one, Blake.
Certainly will. The pace car will dive to the safety of pit road, and the field is in the hands of Corey Heim, as he is your Roasted Gems Coffee Pole Award winner. They'll work their way to the BST Shocks, or the next Move Columbus restart zone. Green flag in the air, set for 120 laps here at Texas. Corey Heim unchallenged for the moment on lap number 1. Anthony Alfredo going to fall back to the 3rd spot. He is in a side-by-side battle with Ryan Vargas. Vargas on the bottom of the racetrack. Alfredo trying to make that middle line work. But right now, Jacob, looks like all eyes are on the bottom.
This is Ryan's best racetrack as far as stats are concerned in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and he's showing that right now, trying to get underneath Corey Heim. Corey's going to shut the door coming off turn 4. That 6 is a little loose, but he's got the speed. Heim's going to shut the door once again, headed to 1.
And like you said, but he has never raced on this version of the Texas Motor Speedway, so perhaps Ryan showing that he can handle just about any configuration here at Texas. He is fast in Fort Worth, as Cabot also has moved up to the 3rd spot. Anthony Alfredo quickly falling back, though, already back to 5th.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just saving his tires a little bit, trying to make them last through the long run, just in case. You know, with Alfredo right now, 19 points to the good coming in to this race, so he's probably thinking, and just keep it clean. You don't have to race too aggressive like some of these other guys. New leader, Ryan Vargas.
Doesn't waste any time on lap number 4. Ryan Vargas, again, not competing tonight, at least as far as the playoffs are concerned. Actually, no, scratch that. Yeah, it definitely is. My bad. I was thinking of Corey Heim. Corey Heim has only made, this is his 3rd career start in Monday Night Racing. He's fallen back to 3rd. He won in his series debut a couple of weeks ago. Didn't go so well 2nd time out, but Heim very consistent when it comes to iRacing, so somebody that is a threat to win, even though he is not competing for the championship. He's surrounded by some drivers that definitely are. Adam Cabot, Colin Fern, Anthony Alfredo, James Bickford. They are all a part of this playoff, so Corey Heim kind of shaking it up with some drivers that really have to perform tonight if they want to continue battling for this championship. Side by side now for 2nd. Here comes Colin Fern.
Fern had a great run coming off turn 4, used the draft down the front straightaway, and just peeled it right down to the inside of Adam Cabot. Cabot got the launch on the high side of the racetrack. It just shows the different grooves that you have here at Texas, different ways you can work with it. The bottom's going to be the king, though, in 3 and 4, and I think Cabot just pulled over. Let him have it. Don't use the stuff up too much, but you got 2 guys kind of right in the middle of the playoff picture, middle of the playoff grid. Had a big buffer coming in, well, big buffer being 10 points, and Fern's just going to take it all the way to the lead.
And Colin Fern making his move by Ryan Vargas, who didn't put up much of a fight. Eric, I'll bring you in on this because I'm wondering at a certain point, I know this is kind of an older Texas, we see this track really open up. Do you think at some point, right now, everybody kind of running right along the bottom side of the racetrack, right along that white line, do you think at some point that we, no pun intended, have somebody move out of the groove and maybe start to run that middle or high line at a certain point?
Yeah, I'll really be interested, especially in 3 and 4. So going to Texas for years and years, you'd see over the course of a long run, guys would be running the apron, they'd be running the wall somewhere in the middle. Texas used to be known for its great multi-groove racing, so I will be interested to see if we get a longer run tonight, how long it takes guys to try that 2nd or 3rd lane. Again, this is old Texas. This is 2009. There's no PJ1 up there to mess around with you too much.
Be interesting to see. Again, this track will continue to lay rubber down at the beginning of the race. This is one of the unique things about iRacing is that you can start at a certain track state. Practice started with what they would call a green racetrack, so no rubber was laid down, but they carried over from practice and from qualifying. So pretty much any rubber you see on the racetrack is a product of what they put down in practice, and much like real life, Jacob, that rubber gets put down, it changes the behavior of the racetrack, and as the groove widens out and as we put more laps on it, that middle, that top side starts to get rubbered in and becomes a little bit more of an option for these drivers.
It's just going to make the racing so much better as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. And if we do get a late race restart, that could certainly open up the door to some 3-wide racing, even up at the very front of the field. Right now, I think these guys focused on just getting the long haul down and just clicking off laps. At this point in time, once we get to the end of this race, it's going to be everything you've got. Push it until you wreck it or somebody wrecks you.
Well, looking at the field right now, as far as the playoff picture is concerned, we were talking about a little bit earlier, Jacob, a lot of strong runners at the front of the field who are a part of this playoff picture right now. As it would stand, I'm looking at, and there you see the standings on the right-hand side of your screen. Olsen, the 24 car, he's done, but the 94, George Belfance Jr., Matt Stalnick, a couple of points out, and, you know, honestly, not through a great qualifying effort. Belfance starting in 22nd, Stalnick starting in 19th. And this is when we get to talk about, Jacob, the difference in competing in person, that you're on a different setup. You usually have your rig, you're in your own home, you're in your own room, you have your own steering wheel and pedals that you're used to, and then you have to completely switch and get used to something completely different. That was going to be one of the challenges in a race like this. The competing in person is a totally different animal, especially in a race that means so much.
There's no doubt about it. And the biggest loser, I think, there is George Belfans Jr. Just the fact he was 1 point out before the green flag. He's now 4 points out. Stalnick is at least completely even with 7 out coming in. He's still 7 out right now. So he's treading water at least. I'm sure he would like to get that number to go in the other direction and get him closer to the cut line. But we've still got a long way to go. So I don't think he's going to be too worried about it yet. I think he thought last week was going to be his best chance to pick up some points and get himself in. Ran into a couple of incidents throughout that race, including one with about 2 laps to go that cost him a ton of position. So right now he has to finish good. That's the only option if he wants to move on. He's picked up a couple of spots.
Trouble in turn 3. It is one of your playoff contenders in George Belfans Jr. Contact that
Gary Sexton too.
Gary Sexton, another playoff contender. So major implications here. The one in the 94 wrecked down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Caution is out, and that is that is going to change the complexion of this. Gary Sexton was in a good points position right now. His car completely mangled in a heap of smoke.
Gary's mad at George here, but I'm not quite sure it's on George. They're kind of just side drafting each other. Gary goes up to the wall, comes back down, and George is there. And they make contact, a hard hit to the inside wall. Almost looked like Gary was trying to block. But these guys were side by side for about half a lap on board with Belfans Jr. You're going to see he comes up, tries to side draft. A little bit of room. Gary goes up, he comes up, Gary comes back down, and they just meet in the middle. I think that's just a racing deal right there more than anything. But that's tough for those guys using their fast repair within the first 20 laps. Both guys near that cut line coming in. Disastrous for both the 1 and the 94.
Very tough, and I know we're getting a couple of questions out there in Eric's chat. Eric, I'll kind of leave you up to it. What is a fast repair? Yeah, I think you can explain that well to the viewers.
Yeah, so every driver gets one chance to effectively repair all the damage. It takes some time, but it's like your mulligan. If there's any golfers out there, that's basically what you get right here. And you're looking at pit road as some of these fast repairs happen. You can see Gary Sexton. There he is. He's waiting on pit road, getting that car fixed. That one car, it looks pretty good. Battle Beaver, I love the blue colors on that one car. He's going to have to rebound, though. I was watching, gentlemen, obviously we had a lot of great passing up front there. Corey Heim, Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern kind of trading the lead. But I was watching Anthony Alfredo, who I highlighted right before the green flag, drop back to 8th. Now he's running 7th. Going to see if he can get that track position back.
Track position going to be very important, as it always has been at Texas. But perhaps, in a situation where you can make up those spots at least a little bit easier than what it had been, as far as whether you want to keep your car up there or how you can make passes. It seems like we've had a lot of drivers that are able to make moves quite easily through the field. You see Smithley up there in 7th, Robbie Lyons up from the 14th starting spot to 10th. David Schildhouse, a big mover in this race so far, started in the 31st position and is already in 18th. It appears like we are set to go. The lights are already off on the pace car, so a very quick caution here, Jacob, but this kind of causes a split in the field. We saw a number of takers onto pit road. They came down, I'm assuming, took 4 tires and fuel. We've seen quite a bit of fall off so far with the scorching hot track temperature. So this could kind of open up this race a little bit in terms of different strategies going on.
Well, 10 guys came in, make it 11. Most of them fuel only. The exception, Steve Affont, Gary Sexton, and Adam Cabot. Now, George Belfans Jr., he used his he did not use his fast repair. That's why he was still in the box. Okay, he was on pit road for a minute and a half there. He got lapped by the field under this caution. I thought he used his fast repair, maybe got up, stepped away from the rig. No, he did not choose to use his fast repair, so he's a lap down, plus he's still got some of that damage from that big crash. That may be the fatal mistake for the driver of the 94.
I'm shocked that he used that. And by the way, word from race control, the cause of caution put on George Belfance Jr. as well. Green flag in the air as Colin Fern leads the field into turn number 1. Corey Hyman second. They go side by side for third. Ryan Vargas up top, and newcomer to the front of the field, Bailey Turner on the bottom.
Yeah, he was lurking in the back half of that top 10. He started in that 6th position, and here he is after a couple of those guys that were in front of him, like Adam Cabot, decided to come onto pit road. He picks up a couple of spots, and now he's going to try and pass the number 6 of Ryan Vargas up off the corner. Bailey Turner had a promising start to the season. I thought maybe he could join Presley Sora as another one of those road to glory drivers that could wind up in the playoffs. Missed a couple of races in there, couldn't point his way in, but he's back now, and he's having a pretty good run to start the night.
He is in the right spot at the right time, at least early on in this race. We've still got a long ways to go, though, as we'll come around and start lap number 20. This time by Vargas right now on the high side of Garrett Smithley. Smithley on a charge through the field. We chronicled it earlier. He got up to the 7th spot before that caution flag, already up into the top 5. So great moves by that number 15 Trophy Tractor Ford as he finds himself in the 5th spot.
Yeah, Garrett Smithley just methodically making his way through the field right now, and for somebody like him, you know, I think he maybe thought he had a shot to make the playoffs. He's done it before in MNR, and just couldn't put a run together there. Got involved in a couple of wrecks later in the season, but he's still out here running, and he's running his guts out. These last couple of races, he's had a really good time, as not having a good time late in Sabile. He just got really wide and slapped the wall in the middle of 1 and 2. That's the 2nd time he's gone up and hit the fence. As look at this battle right here. He saw it just for a moment with Vargas and Alfredo.
Anthony Alfredo and Vargas, a big moment as Vargas looked to block, I think, Alfredo a little bit there down the back straightaway. Alfredo makes his way by and works his way up into the top 5. I also want to point out on the pylon on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the names that are highlighted in green. Those are drivers that are competing in this MNR Pro Series playoffs, but my goodness, I was going to talk about that. The white names means you're just out here competing for a win, but my goodness, Jacob, my attention got taken by Adam Cabot, who you can very clearly see is on the freshest tires in the field. He is mowing them down at the moment, using the high side and just picking them off one by one.
He is a rocket ship in that 17. The first guy on 4 tires. Gary Sexton's gotten himself back into the 20th position, so he's rebounded after coming to pit road after being involved in that crash. But at Cabot, he's just in the league of his own. He's going to pass Smithley here coming down the back straightaway. And this shows me that when we get to the end of the race, and if we get a late race caution, you're pitting and you're taking 4 tires, because it does not take long for you to slice your way through the field and be a factor up at the front.
Well, and of course, it's worth mentioning that, you know, this is just like real life, or kind of like what you would see in these cars in real life in the Xfinity Series, is we do have tire limits. So the downside of this is Cabot is going to be down a tire set. The good news of it, he's about to be in the race lead, and Colin Fern is going to have nothing to say about it, as Cabot will roll on by like they're virtually slowing down for him. Adam Cabot drives right up through the field, and car number 17, your new leader here at Texas.
We know he's really strong at these 1.5 miles, and I think when we go to Homestead, if he's in the championship 4, that may play into his favor come the end of the season. He has yet to go to victory lane this season. When we were back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Cabot finished in the 4th position. Yeah, no, I'm right. I hit the wrong thing. He finished in 12th when we were at Texas, but he had a strong car when we were at Charlotte. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here, but he is pulling away, and he's going to leave everybody in his dust right now, as now Corey Haim's going to try and do something to get around this 86 of Colin Fern.
See Corey Heim here working down the back straightaway. Oh, Leighton Sabile off at turn 2 is sideways, absolutely just wheeling that 43 car. We've seen that a time or two, but I think the right rear tire on that 43 very, very heated up, and he is struggling hanging on to that 43 Chevrolet. He was drifting all the way through the corner, and just heard Justin Melillo come over the radio about a lap ago and say, I don't know why we're blocking for 23rd position, so perhaps something going on between these two drivers. You can see Melillo able to get by the 43 on the top as he about gets into the wall off at turn 2.
He is all over the place. He's either going to have to pit or he's going to wreck and then pit. Like, that thing is just too out of control. Once you heat these tires up, it's so difficult to cool them back down under green. The track temperature right now is 131 degrees, so these tires aren't cool to begin with. You light the rear tires up like that, power sliding through the corner. It's molten lava back there, and you're not going to hold on for much longer.
No, and Sabile, golly, he is smoking the right rear as I'm following along with him off of turn 2 every single lap, and I think he's finally trying to get that car right down to the bottom, take the shorter route around to try to get that tire cool. You can see the 43 Petty GMS machine trying his best to try and cool that right rear tire down, but it has been through 1 and 2 that car is just unbelievably sideways. Let's see if he's gotten a little bit of a better handle on it this time, and still sliding off at turn 2, but I gotta say, Jacob, that's the best it's been in several laps.
I was going to say, I think he's back to normal, and then he got to the very exit of the corner, and that thing about stepped out on him. So I think we need to keep an eye on that 43 just in case, because he is dirt tracking that thing. He's turning right to go left right about now.
That's the way to do it, is right now Gabe Wood a little bit behind this battle, way up the racetrack. Oh, as he about loses it in the middle of the corner, going to create a little bit of a run for Smithley. Smithley has to check up, and here comes Matt Stalnick on the bottom. Again, on the outside looking in, when we were looking at the live points just a little bit earlier for this 41 car, as you can see, he is live. You can see the lights flashing around in the background. Wonder if that has to be a little distracting, that this is a live event. You're obviously there for the fans, but one of those flashing lights, they're not shining it directly on him or in his face or anything, but again, anything that's out of the norm is going to be a little bit different.
I think when you're in his scenario, though, when you're on the outside looking in and you're trying to point your way in as best you can, you're trying to not let anything distract you, and you're just tunnel vision. You're focused on the same. You're focused on your car, maybe the car in front of you and behind you, and that's it. Oh, Sabile is really sideways off turn 4. I thought he wrecked it that time, and he still got it rolling straight. I mean, he was pointed to pit road when he got off corner number 4. Now he's got that thing right behind him. Here he goes.
No, he saved it. Somehow he saved it.
How do you save that?
I don't remember Texas Motor Speedway in 2009 being a drift course, but right now, Leighton Sabile, God love him, because he is putting on a show right now. It's not helping him at all. He's fallen back to 26. Jacob and Eric, he can't even handle it down the front stretch right now. I mean, that's how loose that 43 car is.
It's like everyone else is in PJ1 and he's out there on ice. It's night and day. I cannot believe he has not walled that thing yet. This is the show inside the show. He's in real time. He's just every corner.
I tell you what, I think Tufco might be appreciating some of the airtime that this car is getting, because it's going the wrong direction, but at least we're talking about it. I can't imagine, though, if he is that loose, that it is going to be much longer before that 43 car spins out. You can see hard at work right there. Gary Sexton trying to march back through the field. He also pit on the same cycle as Adam Cabot, so has slowly worked his way through the field, and you see a lot of focus right there trying to get back in position. This is the beneficiary of the fast repair, Jacob, that you can kind of come back out, fix your car. Now, George Belfans Jr., on the other hand, the other flip side of this wreck, he did not take his fast repair. He went one lap down trying to fix as much damage as possible, and look in his rearview mirror, that's Adam Cabot, who has pulled 5.5 seconds on the rest of the field.
I think maybe he thought we would get another caution right away, but I did not think it was the move to stay out and try and save that fast repair, and he may have just ended his shot at getting a shot at the championship with this strategy call. He's going to need a lot of help the rest of the way in order to get back on the lead lap and get back in a shot that he can have a shot for the win, because at this rate he may need a win to get in. But how about Gary Sexton, though? He's showing up in the 5th spot right now. Not sure why his name's in white, but he is running really solid right now, getting up through the field. He's not quite burning through his stuff as much as Cabot seemed to be doing, but when we saw that camera shot, he is focused, he is determined, he is angry. I think he's driving that car twice as hard as he was earlier.
Well, you know, I think probably George's best option right now is to find somebody he's racing with. You know, I think at that table he's sitting at, he could probably grab the steering wheel of the driver next to him and just crank it. And that's probably what he needs right now, is he needs a caution, as he actually will go another lap down behind Adam Cabot. So now the driver of the 94, 2 laps down, and it is going to be a long road again. In Monday Night Racing, you used to be able to get as many wave rounds as possible. Rule change that it will just be the lucky dog that gets the wave around. That is it. Right now, that would be Bailey Curry, who's fallen back to 33rd. He is 1 lap down at the moment. So Cabot continuing to set sail. Heim has reeled him in just a little bit, though.
We about had a wreck back here. Charlie Brown got by Leighton Sabile, who's still on ice skates back here. And, oh, man, almost tried it again there off two. Then we went down into turn number 1. Charlie Brown hit the fence on corner exit, lost all of his time. He fell back a couple of spots. I thought that both of them were going to collide going into turn 1. Sabile is just out of control right now.
And everybody knows that they're trying to avoid him. This is on board of Mike Clay, who currently runs right now in the 29th position. You can see Steve Affont trying to go by that 43 car. And I just don't think you want to be anywhere around that 43. And Clay even says, yep, I'll let you by Steve Affont. Ryan Vargas, though, first driver onto pit road here under green flag conditions. Jacob, this is a big change.
Well, and remember, these were the guys that stayed out, so we're at about 40 laps on these tires and on this fuel run. 75% capacity as far as fuel in these tanks, so they're going to be close on fuel if you have not pitted yet. So we're going to see pretty much everybody on pit road in the next couple of laps. The exception going to be guys like Gary Sexton, Adam Cabot, and those that pitted under the first caution. It'll be another 15 laps or so before we see them come to pit road.
So Cabot, not only is he making up time by staying out, he gets to stay out longer than anybody else. So this is working out very well for Cabot. Right now, who you can see is in a zip code all of his own, and that unsponsored 17 machine looking to try to lock his way into the round of 10, sporting about a 4.5-second lead right now over Corey Heim, a lead that has kind of stalemated right there at about 5 seconds or so with Corey Heim. You can see, once again, Gary Sexton has made his way up into 5th. Saw somebody just about go through the grass, maybe Bailey Curry on the front straightaway. Dakota Curtis is awfully slow through turn 2, so we continue to see more drivers make their way onto pit road.
Yeah, Dakota Curtis. Now, he already pitted, but I think he just got a little too wide trying to let some of those faster guys go by, and that just got him a little off pace, as we're going to see some more folks coming down on the pit road this time by. And yeah, Corey Heim and Adam Cabot are running pretty identical lap times right now. I think that tire advantage that Cabot had has just fallen away at this point, and that's why the gap is pretty much stagnated right at that just over 4-second gap between those two.
I feel as though Dakota Curtis may have blown a tire. That's how slow he's going right now. He was limping that thing around in 1 and 2. He's still driving it in 3 and 4, but I think that he may have had an issue. He's going to stay out on the racetrack, though, so I think he just got really loose. You can see a little bit of damage on the right front of his Toyota Supra. So 45 just having a tough time trying to get through traffic right now. Has not come down pit road as of late. Vargas, on the other hand, is flying right now and almost gets into the back of Presley Sora. He's carrying so much speed in the middle of 3 and 4, and there you see Dakota Curtis having
David Schildhouse is going to need a new pair of pants or something. I mean, Curtis was right in front of him, and he about clobbered him. And I'm pretty sure Dakota Curtis took tires when he pitted last time, which would have been under the caution. So I don't know if he just belayed his tires or what. All 4 tires are up. He just got too wide, got the edge of the safety pin. And it's a good thing that Schildhouse is locked in. Otherwise, that could have had major championship implications.
Sora may have gotten tagged trying to pit under green flag conditions. He didn't spin, but he got a little bit of right rear damage. Did the driver the 98. So this is one of those instances. Maybe you use the fast repair, maybe you don't. But Sora got just a tad bit of right rear damage. You can see it right there. The spoiler is bent a little bit. A lot of green right now. So many of the playoff drivers kind of competing against one another. There you can see the little bit of damage on Sora. Good that he didn't get spun, but that is going to have some aero effect on this car.
Black flag, Leighton Sabile speeding on pit road exit. He's going to have to come back in. He was already pleading for life back around that 27th position, so he's on his way on the back straightaway now. He's going to have to come back on to pit road to serve his black flag. None of the playoff guys, though, having any sort of issue, at least as far as speeding is concerned. You've got a couple of guys that still have yet to pit up here at the front. Actually, they pitted under the caution. That's Shane Van Gisbergen in third, Malillo, Cannon. Ryan Vargas is the first guy out there on new tires in P6. He's 15.5 seconds behind Cannon in 5th place. And a lap down. Go figure.
It'll really shake this race up right now with all of these drivers that are 1 lap down. You got to think that there's definitely a lot of drivers who kind of want a caution at this point. And one of them is definitely Adam Cabot, because he would kind of have a free spot to be able to come down pit. Everybody would have to take the wave around and stay on old tires, so would really benefit him. Sexton obviously trying a little bit of a strategy play here as well, because he can go a little bit further after pitting that first time by. You see Leighton Sabile there on the left side of your screen. He is pit yet again, and he was not up to speed, so I believe he may just pull it down and park it, but gotta give a shout out to him. He did a great job wheeling that car to safety. But Eric, I know there's a lot going on. I know we have a lot of fans tuned in out there. What's kind of the sentiment is, trouble on the front. Shane Van Gisbergen through the grass, but he keeps it together so far. A lot going on, Eric.
Yeah, the chat's been trying to figure out who's on the best fuel strategy right now. I think it's really interesting. Obviously, Gary Sexton was kind of forced into this strategy due to the early crash, but he's riding there behind Adam Cabot. Two of them, running long, but they gained a lot of track position when they had those fresher tires. Now they're the ones on old tires. I'm curious to see where Ryan Vargas shuffles out in all this, because he was the first of, I would say, the main strategy guys to pit, and you see it seems to work out for him. He's the first guy of those who have pit already under green, and he's now made his way back onto the lead lap. So I'll be curious to see, how long does that tire advantage last? Everyone behind him pit 4, 5, 6, 7 laps later. Can they reel him in here? And how's this going to play out? Because everyone's got to make, at least one more stop.
Certainly so. I think 2 stops may be the case for some of these drivers, depending on their situation. As we roll lap 52 of 120 on the board, only slowed by 1 caution flag at this juncture. And Jacob, this kind of reminds me a little bit of what we had at Charlotte. It was this car, it was 1.5 miles, and this is exactly how this race played out. A lot of strategy, green flag pit stops. We know that there's still a long way to go, but so far I think you're seeing a lot of these top contenders. Why they're competing for a championship? You see a lot of green on the left-hand side of your screen. These playoff drivers are up front for a reason.
Yeah, well, and that's typically what happens in the playoffs anyways. The guys that are in the playoffs are the guys that run up toward the front of the field. So that's just sometimes the way things go. We've seen it in the past. We're seeing it again this year. And with strategy and everything, that'll get shuffled around a little bit as the race goes on. But once we get to the end, you're going to see all those guys in green just keep rising up toward the front. They're going to be there at the very end of this deal.
You see the live points as they stand. Matt Stalnick right now, the last driver in. Maxwell Kinnon, first driver out. George Belfans Jr., who unfortunately 2 laps down, has not pit yet. and has that damage, he is going to need a miracle to happen. Several drivers to run into issues before he really gets called down. Now, the other thing is here, Jacob, in the midst of all this strategy, Cabot kind of got the launch off of that last run because he had fresher tires. Now he's kind of getting the opposite end of that. We've seen a 30.202 is Cabot's fastest lap that he ran on lap 19. He's running 32.50s right now. So that is a large fall off, just about 2.5 seconds right now. So there is a big difference with these tires, which, again, is what we love about this pavement of Texas.
Well, that last time by, he got split through wide by Bailey Turner and Leighton Sabile. Now here comes Schildhaus. He's going by him. And you've got guys right behind him as well that were battling for the lead. Alfredo and Colin Fern. These guys are running in the 9th and 10th spot a lap down. They're trying to get back on the lead lap here.
Oh, and they're going to go 3 wide off of turn 2 with Bailey Curry. They get by. A little bit further back, this is Brad Perez and Presley Sora right now that are side by side. Sora not being slowed as much as I initially thought he would be with that right rear damage, so he is trudging along just fine right now. Cabot's still out on the racetrack. You have to imagine it's going to be a couple of laps. I think lower 40s is what this fuel window is, so not going to be too much longer before these drivers that are on this strategy going to come down to pit. And I think you can see the big difference. We've seen a number of drivers, Jacob, unlap themselves. Vargas is now up into 5th, Alfredo into 8th, so now Melillo comes down in pits. So they're, as much as Cabot has a huge lead right now, he is going to lose a ton of time. He may be a lap down himself easily by the time this cycle's out, once he gets back out on the track.
Well, now Corey Heim has passed Ryan Vargas for what will be the lead when things cycle around. So Corey Heim will be the leader once SVG, Sexton, and Cabot pull the trigger and come on to pit road. Vargas now stuck in that 2nd position. Heim on a little bit fresher tires, about 5 laps. So that's what's allowed that 20 or that 51 to go right by Vargas. Now Bailey Turner's going to pass him and take over what's now P5, what will eventually be the 2nd spot.
A lot going on in the midst of this cycle, and again, it is not entirely done yet, but we'd like to remind you that Atlas Hair Company, sponsor of tonight's race, is a hair product company created to set a new standard. Create products that you'll use forever to bring confidence, cleanliness, and celebrity-level appearance to our customers and friends. Visit atlashair.com to view our selection of hair products. Atlas Hair Company, let's rise together. As our leader comes down and Adam Cabot has made his way onto the pit lane, we'll get a quick word here with our Grand Marshal for tonight that we heard a little bit earlier, Chris Worm. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, Chris, so as we are rolling along here at Texas, obviously a very fun race, a lot of strategy going on. What's kind of your initial impressions so far of everything that's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm so impressed with this whole production. You guys do an amazing job. I've never been a part of something like this, and just to see what you guys have done is really, really impressive. I would say right now, I think Heim is on probably the best strategy. I know that I have a hair product company, but ultimately I bet on NASCAR kind of for a living. And so I think this whole production's been awesome.
Well, that's awesome. In terms of, I guess in terms of doing that, I know you make a lot of odds even for fun when it comes to this Monday Night Racing Series. So do you think those pre-race odds here for Texas are kind of shaping up with some of our front runners?
Well, that's actually a friend of mine, Derek Yoder, who sets the odds, and Matt Stalnick's a good friend, and he's the one that kind of set everything up this evening. But I was just kind of razzing Matt by fading him in his matchup. I think it'd be really hard, though, to set odds consistently. But, man, I'll tell you what, the realistic nature of this product that you guys have here is so impressed. I mean, I've been texting my friends nonstop this evening, hey, you have to check this out.
Well, that's great, and I know you have a great product as well. What made you want to sponsor this race and be a part of Monday Night Racing?
Well, like I said, that NASCAR, or at least betting on it, has been a big part of my life. I actually have my own podcast with Todd Furman that launches every Friday morning, and it's actually powered by NASCAR. So I actually were able to use the logo, and it's just been a big part of my life. And I actually had reached out to Kyle Larson last year about potentially sponsoring his car because I knew that he was unsponsored for the year. And when I was talking to his manager, JP, I was like, I think this guy could win up to 10 races this year. And I was close. I think when you count everything that's all said and done, it's probably like 11 wins. So I've always wanted to get involved, and this is just a nice, easy dipping our toe in to just the racing, sponsorship side of things.
All right, iRacing definitely not only for drivers, for broadcasters at that, but even for sponsors, a great way to get introduced to the side of auto racing. Well, we appreciate you jumping along and hopping up here at the booth for a couple of moments. Chris, we won't waste any more of your time. We'll let you get back to watching this incredible race.
Yeah, can I share that the discount code, we're offering a discount code for everyone who's watching. So if you use the code STAYGREEN when you're checking out at atlashair.com, you're going to go ahead and get 20% off your entire order plus free shipping. So if anyone has any questions about anything, you can certainly reach out. And we're more than happy to, if anyone's unhappy, we'll return the product or swap it out for something else. Again, that's Stay Green at checkout. I appreciate you having us. And an awesome job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Chris. And again, Atlas Hair Products, the sponsor tonight, the Atlas Hair Products 120 at Texas. A lot going on in the midst of this race. We chronicled it just before we got talking to Chris there. The Adam Cabot did come down to take service to the service of his pit crew, Jacob, and he has already gotten his way up to 12th. So a very short stop for Cabot, who now is kind of on the flip side of everything else, and it's the fastest car on the racetrack.
Yep, and Cabot took 4 tires just like everybody else in the field. You don't want to be taking 2 tires, at least at this stage of the race. So he is just clawing his way. He's back up to 9th already. He is moving and grooving right now. Just got by Sora, Stalnick, and Lyons, and he's just going to keep picking them off by one. There he is. Just took 8th. Now he's going to look and try and catch David Schildhaus for that 7th spot. He's just up the road. Adam Cabot is in a league of his own right now. He's running more than a second faster than everybody around him.
Helping him move by Schildhaus. He'll take control of 7th and perhaps one more off of turn number 4. That is Case Collenbeck, who is 1 lap down that he'll go on by. This has created a large separation in the field as a result of this strategy. We see Mark Rebillis just in front of him running way up the racetrack. We've seen drivers trying to test out and see if that middle or that high line is worth anything. Stephen Ellis in 3 and 4, you could see kind of at the edge of this shot was way up, almost against the outside retaining wall here in 3 and 4. So really testing the boundaries of what could be possible as far as making time at this racetrack. And there you see it right to the top in the marbles, which may not be entirely cleaned off. So don't know if that's the fastest way around, but at least it looks good up there.
He's just trying to stay out of harm's way. And speaking of harm's way, Leighton Sabile's back at it again, drifting it off the corners. His tires are shot already. He is in the 35th position right now. Obviously, he had the penalty, so he had to come back on the pit road. Apparently, he may have run it out of fuel. I didn't take fuel on that first stop or something, but he is back in the 35th position. He is 3 laps down with George Balfans Jr. and Michael Massey last on the racetrack. And
trouble in turn 3. Shane Van Gisbergen gets into the back of Seth Eggert as Slate and Eggert were side by side. Eggert bounced it off the apron, and SVG runs right into the back of him. Has a fair amount of damage on the nose of his Toyota. We'll see it one more time.
Let's take a look. So here they come. Ball deck that SVG's passing. He's already got some damage on the right side of that race car. And they check up, and SVG's not ready for it. Wow. Whew, what a save by Eggert.
Nicely done there, and even through the midst of that, we've had one driver who has been hanging on almost Sabile style. That is Bailey Curry, who was just wheeling it and actually cut through the grass a time or two or a lap or two ago, as he is I think has kind of run into it. When you heat up that right rear tire, Eric, it seems like once it's gone, good luck getting it back.
Yeah, it has been fun to watch. We talked earlier about how this old Texas layout, this old surface does widen, especially with all the heat out there, how hot the track is. We're seeing guys slide around, but we are seeing that groove widen. Watching Adam Cabot, when he came off pit road, he was more than 15 seconds back from the leader. He's largely been passing guys in that second groove, not necessarily the preferred lane, and yet he's still making up at least a half a second a lap on the leaders. Really interesting to see how this strategy plays out because
Curry! He saved it. My goodness, how did he save that? Sorry to cut you off there, Eric, but he was having a little bit of a moment here. Somehow he got loose off the back straightaway, was pointed towards the inside wall, but somehow didn't end up in the fence. We'll let you analyze it here, Eric. And sorry to cut you off there.
No worries. I've been so distracted by Cabot's charge to the front. It's hard to miss, though, Bailey Curry, among others, sliding around right here. Oh, my gosh, almost overcorrected to the outside wall. And then, wow. We've seen about 7 or 8 cautions not happen during this long green flag run. It's remarkable that they've kept things straight.
It is, and Bailey Curry, at least for Fort Worth screen printing, a home, or Athens screen printing, Texas is where they call home. So there you see Bailey Curry, Leighton Sabile again, having the same issue that he did earlier.
Oh, that's the leader on the outside. Oh, that's Cabot. Oh, this ain't gonna work. You cannot save that. Are you kidding me?
I think he's just playing with this at this point. I mean, I don't know how in the world that he has not lost this race car.
I mean, you can't do that. Like, it props to everybody behind him for not running him over, because he has to slow down so much so he can save it. Just get off the gas and steer into it, I guess. My goodness.
I mean, he can't even get about 80% throttle down the straightaway without the car getting sideways. The right rear tire is that heated up. And again, I can't imagine how hot it is. The track temperature has increased 5 degrees, so it's now 134 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is scorching hot. And somehow he is still hanging on to it. I mean, if he wanted some air time, he cuts the grass a little bit there. He's at least doing that from 4 laps down in the 35th spot. So we're at least talking about him.
And Bailey Curry's not much better, too. That last time coming down the back straightaway, he was dirt tracking that thing to 3 wide all by himself at least.
Man, a lot going on here is Cabot trying to continue his march back up to the front of the field. He is now in second. He has kind of slowed the amount of time that he's run down your race leader, Corey Heim, every lap. It was at one point about a second a lap. Now it's down to about a couple tenths per lap, so we'll see if this cycle or these tires kind of even out with your race leader. But Corey Heim not in a bad position right now as Cabot is running him down, but not nearly as much as what we saw at the beginning of the run.
Oh my gosh, Bailey Curry, he about wrecked it. Brad Perez is pitting, and he just sped on pit road entry, so he has a black flag. And now he missed his box. A hellacious pit road for Brad Perez, as he's one of the first guys to come onto pit road under this. This would be the second green flag stop of the day. Bailey Curry gives up. He finally brings it to pit road, so he will not bring out a caution. But the horrible, bad, no good pit stop for Brad Perez.
And not only did he overshoot it, he was too far to the left, too far to the right. I mean, he had so much trouble getting in his box that you really hate to see it. But the problem is for him, I mean, that's a driver that does not need a bad break here. But looks like he's going to be able to manage A-OK. Again, not competing in the playoffs tonight is Brad Perez, so at least he doesn't have any playoff implications to hurt with that, but definitely going to lose a lot of time in the midst of this cycle. One car, it looked like into the wall there right in front of David Schildhouse. That was Steven Ellis.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to limp it around at this point, not drive. He doesn't want to be like Sabile and wreck every corner, so he's trying to drive it a little bit slower. Oh, that was one car around on pit road. Josh Slate was sideways. He's got damage on the front end of his race car. He spun trying to get it onto pit road and nosed it into the inside wall. We stay green. It's off the racing surface, but trouble for Josh Slate under this pit stop. So this green flag cycle bringing all sorts of chaos to these guys.
See right now, first driver on the outside looking in. That is Matt Stalnick, car number 41. Is a little bit on a the kind of the Cabot strategy or so, but right now, Jacob, you have a couple of spots to make up. Matt has done his way. He's raced up to 9th, started in 19th, so he's been slowly increasing, but he's got to find a way to get a couple more spots if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive.
Yeah, he's really having a good run tonight. He finished 24th when we were at Charlotte in these cars earlier this year. Did not have a good run there. So he is really turning it around with a top 10, but he needs a top 5, to be completely honest. He needs a top 5, especially if everybody stays relatively where they're at right now, in order for him to have a shot to move on. Anything outside of a top 5, he's going to need some help from some other drivers in order to point his way in.
You got a nice little shot right there of the Charlotte eSports Hub in Charlotte, North Carolina, where, again, 8 of our drivers are competing live and on stage and in person. You see a little bit of an audience there. We say hello to you if you're out there in Charlotte spectating this event. We appreciate you watching along here with Podium eSports and Eric Estep. We're glad to have you along for the ride. As far as drivers that are there, the top runner out of those 8 drivers, it looks to be, looking down my running order, Colin Fern right now.
Whoa, somebody just spun getting onto pit road. Who was that? Mike Clay, I think? No, somebody just spun it right in the edge of the picture. That's Gabe Wood that's around. He got sideways. He hit the first cone, which does not matter, and got onto pit road somewhat safely. He obviously pointed in the wrong direction. He's back rolling now. But Gabe Wood, he was so close to making the playoffs, just had a couple of bad races down the stretch, and now a not-so-good pit cycle for him. This is the pit cycle where it seems like things are going haywire. I was wondering if we were going to be ready for green flag pit stops, and after that first round, I thought maybe we could handle it. We've seen a lot more slip-ups this time around, though.
Well, again, this is what's going to happen in a 180-mile race. As you see, big speed difference there. Stalnick trying to prevent more points from going in front of him right now as Presley.
Oh, there we go, Sabile. Turn 4, drifting it onto pit road. Are you kidding me? How did that work? He is the luckiest guy on planet Earth.
He drifted all the way through turn 4. It's almost like he downshifted. That's how sideways he was. He tries to get it on pit road. I honestly don't quite know if that was to save the car or intentional, but we'll see it one more time here. You can see gets sideways, a little bit of an overcorrect, and maybe at this point he's just thinking, let me get off the racing surface. Takes a cone with them, throws it out in the middle of the track, and well, he spins through these pit stalls, which again is a little bit different in iRacing. When you get to those pit stalls, you are ghosted, so to speak, and not going to hit anybody, so not going to create an unsafe environment that would warrant a caution like it would in real life. As Corey Heim right now, your race leader, has given it up. He is back onto pit road. So Adam Cabot back in the race lead is someone else there at the entrance of pit road is sideways.
It's
Stalnick and Will Rogers.
2 playoff guys. That Bickford coming onto pit road. Stalnick was, Stalnick got a black flag. Stalnick spun it. Oh no, he didn't. He sped. He didn't hit the cone, but he got it cleared. He never hit the cone. He was right down the middle of pit road. He did not hit the cone. That should stand. That black flag should stand. He did not hit the cone.
No, he's being released.
Well, they cleared his black flag. Race control cleared the black flag, and then Josh Mendoza came over the radio and said they were looking at it. Stalnick said he hit the cone. He couldn't have been more down the middle of pit road if he tried. So Stalnick, for now, is lucky, but if they review that, they may decide to bring Stalnick back to pit road to serve that penalty, which would, in effect, end his championship hopes. A really, really tough break for the driver of the 41. And black flag for Matt Stalnick. He is coming back to pit road. He did not hit the cone, and Matt Stalnick's shot at a title is likely over. Look out, here comes Alfredo.
Well, again, he didn't get close to the cone. That was Will Rogers who was spinning there. It was Stalnick who spun, or not spun, he sped. He sped getting onto pit road. That was what the initial black flag was for. And now Stalnick trying to argue his case on whether he should be black flagged or not. Again, the reason we're talking about this is this has major playoff implications right now. Stalnick, the last driver, trying to get his way back into the round of 10. And we'll see, at least from what I'm looking at my replay, there's no cone violation. It was simply a speeding penalty. He slowed down to avoid Rogers, but by the time he gets to pit road, he's going about 65 miles an hour. Now, you can, iRacing works just like in real life. You have timing lines. It is not off of your satellite speed. You have timing lines, so you can be a little hot initially getting in if you slow it down. But he is still trying to plead his case, which Jacob does not often work out.
Well, and here's the thing. He's pleading over the radio that he was trying to avoid Will Rogers. Rogers was all but stopped, but even then, Stalnick was still speeding at the line. You know, Rogers was already on pit road as he was spinning, so it's not like he was before the line. I get that Stalnick may have been distracted by Will Rogers, but you gotta stay focused on that timing line because you biff it there and you are in so much trouble, and Stalnick's being told, hey, look, you gotta serve the penalty at this point. And he's saying you were going to come to pit road regardless. Josh Mendoza is that Stalnick, you know, it was his intention to pit. It's not like he was solely trying to avoid the wreck.
And a lot going on right here. Adam Cabot, somebody said out in the chat, Adam Cabot sped. That is not correct. He's in second right now. He pit on lap 90, and no issues for Adam Cabot.
Yeah, Cabot has not pitted yet. Oh, yeah, he did. I'm blind. But, yeah, no, Cabot did not get a pit road penalty or anything. He's still in that second spot. So Stalnick on pit road. He just got disqualified. Matt Stalnick just got disqualified because he didn't stop in the box. He did a drive-through penalty, got to the end of pit road, and got disqualified. His black flags have been cleared. We'll see if this works. But Matt Stalnick, when it rains, it pours. For the driver of the 41, it was a stop and hold penalty for Stalnick, at least it should have been. He only drove through the box. Now I think he's okay. Josh Mendoza cleared the black flag, and Stalnick is still on the racetrack, so he is no longer disqualified. But that could have been day ender if it wasn't already for Matt Stalnick.
Unfortunately, it looks like Matt Stalnick not going to visit Ross Chastain's favorite restaurant, Dairy Queen, at least today. But Eric, for as much as this race, I mean, we have been green since lap 18, and as much as these cars have been a great challenge for these drivers, they've spread out. This has been as much drama as we possibly could have hoped for at this point.
And you look at who's in the top 10, 25 laps to go, and there are, I count, 7 playoff drivers very much in contention. Now, Corey Heim has done a tremendous job holding off Adam Cabot. Ever since Cabot actually pit later than Heim, he was closing, and then kind of stalled out at about this 2-second gap and hasn't really been able to make any more headway since then. So Corey Heim in a decent spot. Ryan Vargas, once again, kind of short pit this final cycle, up to 3rd, but you know some of the guys behind him have a little fresher tires, so we'll see if he can push forward or maybe limit the damage. But you're right. Right now, the playoff cut line has been basically blown wide open due to Stalnick's issues on pit road.
Stalnick's fallen way back, and most of the drivers who are in a relatively comfortable position to move their way forward as it stands into the round of 10. Of course, a lot can happen here in these last 22, 23 laps or so, but for now should be good. Interstate batteries, they're built to top industry standards, and they have been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable and proud partner of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. It has been a wild one here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call with you tonight. We look on board of Colin Fern, who's live right now at the eSports Hub in Charlotte, North Carolina, passing another driver who was present right there in Ryan Vargas. So Colin Fern goes up to the 5th spot. A lot going on right now. Adam Cabot still trying to chase down Corey Heim, who has, Jacob made a statement, I think. Heim won back at Charlotte in his debut and has just been on a tear since he came here to Monday Night Racing.
Yeah, Corey Heim has had a pep in his step, and he has just been driving away from everybody as this season has gone on. We're already inside 20 laps to go. This race has flown by for these guys, and Adam Cabot running out of time. That last time by, he was 2/10 quicker than Corey Heim. So in theory, if he keeps that pace up, he'll catch him before this race is done. For these guys, they've already made their final pit stop, so that's why we saw Cabot pit at the same time as these guys, so he could get back on strategy, and so he didn't stay out as long. So for Corey Heim and Adam Cabot, that last time by, they were even pretty much. The gap just about 2.5 seconds.
And you really have to feel, I know we talked about Matt Stalnick and what befell him, you really have to feel for George Belfans Jr., who took the opportunity, did not take the fast repair, and was hoping through that there would be some solace for him a little bit later on in the race, that perhaps there'd be some yellows or some way that he could either come down and get his fast repair, or that he could save and repair that car and keep that fast repair in his back pocket. Nevertheless, that never came to fruition. He's 3 laps down in 33rd, and at this point, I think he would need most of the internet except for his rig in Charlotte right now to have a chance to advance right now. The odds are very long. We were talking about odds earlier. I think he's about plus 300,000 right now to make the next round.
Well, you've only got 8 guys that are 1 lap down, about 5 that are 2 down, Waldeck 3 down, and then Belfans is 3 down. He'd only need, what, about 20 cautions to get back onto the lead lap with free passes? The problem is we've got 17 to go, so George Belfans Jr.'s shot at moving on in the playoffs is effectively done. And Matt Stalnick, he's going to need a meteor to crash through Max Kennan's home, I guess, at this point, because he is 18 points out. He needs a lot of help.
We hear a little bit of talk over the radio as Fern not happy that Alfredo was pinching him a little bit. You know, I think this is around the time, Eric, if we were on NASCAR on Fox, that we would turn to Larry McReynolds and ask for some trends. I don't know how much data you have, but as far as 16 laps to go, what do you think the odds are, or that, you know, maybe this race finishes out? Maybe we see what we often see here at Monday Night Racing, perhaps a little bit of a green-white checkered scenario perhaps come out.
So, yeah, I'm going to do my best Larry Mack impression. I've got some notes here. The trends, we've only seen 1 caution tonight. We've seen about a bajillion near misses. But, you know, Corey Heim, the leader, pit with 33 laps to go. Anthony Alfredo, who just took 3rd place and is now cracked, he's now less than 7 seconds back. He pit about 3 laps later. Now, I don't think there's any chance he makes up 7 seconds and 14 laps with just 3 laps fresher tires, but it's at least worth mentioning. It certainly looks like it's going to come down to Heim versus Cabot. We've seen guys run up behind slow cars and get damaged and lose all their momentum. That could potentially cost Heim. He's looking for 14 more perfectly clean laps, and I think he'll be able to hold on and kind of play a playoff spoiler here tonight.
He could potentially do that, and very nice trends, very nice numbers for Eric Estep, who, I don't know, Jacob, sounds like a bit of an accomplished broadcaster. I know we saw out there in the chat that, you know, maybe that's in Eric's future. Who knows?
There you go. Could be taken over for well, for anybody taking over.
I'm too lazy to walk up and down pit road, all day. It's too hot out there to do that. So I'll leave that to the professionals.
Well, luckily you don't have to walk. I think you can see a lot from your vantage point, no matter where you're standing.
That's a good point. I don't need a spotter stand.
You saw it right there on the bottom of your screen. You can follow Monday Night Racing on TikTok for some more highlights and fun little videos revolving around the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. As we're approaching about 12 laps to go. Corey Heim, your leader. Adam Cabot in second. Anthony Alfredo runs in third. Bailey Turner, a great run in fourth. Colin Fern fifth. James Bickford in sixth. Vargas, Schoenhouse, Lyons, and Sora rounds out your top 10. You look at that top 10 right now. 6 drivers out of the 13 in the top 10 as they run right now. So this is the type of race, Jacob, I think that they wanted. Long green flag runs, let that speed really work to their benefit. And now we just have, 13 cars on the lead lap. So this has really played out and cycled itself through.
Yeah, other than that early caution involving George Belfans Jr. and Gary Sexton, it has been clean and green. So these guys are really having a good run tonight. We'll see what happens when we go to Las Vegas next week in the trucks. See how long we can go there. I'm sure that's going to be more pack racing-esque once we go there. As Leighton Sabile, man, he said over the radio a couple laps ago that both times he has pitted tonight, the right rear tire has been at single-digit remaining. So he's worn the right rear tire down to somewhere in between 5 and 7% each time he's come on pit road. That is all but nothing on the right rear. And he's back to smoking them. We're inside 10 laps to go. Let's hope he can hold on for 9 more laps.
9 more, that's all. Corey Heim, we know he doesn't want to see that come to fruition. He wants this thing to completely run its course. You see, coming up on lap traffic right now in Case Collenbach. And go a second lap down. Collenbach right now currently running in the 29th position. Unfortunate for Brad Perez right in front of them in 28th. He had some issues earlier with his pit stop. He's now 3 laps down. He runs in 29th. This is about as old school as it gets, Jacob. 13 cars on the lead lap. Everybody spreading out. A hot, slick racetrack, old Texas. This is a race where sometimes as viewers, we're not as entertained, but I can tell you as a driver, these are the type of races you live for. To let things play out, you have to execute, and the fastest drivers truly get to showcase their speed.
Yeah, these guys, they're hauling it. I mean, I can't believe they've held on this long without wadding up. To be completely honest, I mean, we've seen the races this season, right? That normally we don't do this, but it's cool to watch. There's no doubt about it, because you've got guys that are just out there pleading for dear life that they can hold on to the race car the rest of the way, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, Rogers and Stalnick just about brought out a caution off of turn 4. As Rogers got in the back of him on corner exit. At this point, I think Stalnick would actually welcome that, because he needs just something, anything to happen to try to help his case. And I don't know, Jacob, I think...
Oh, Sabile, man alive! He almost took out, I think that was Charlie Brown, but he spins it onto pit road. That was probably the closest call yet, but we stay green. No words. No words.
The one thing I think we figured out, Jacob, in the season 4 finale, where we had drivers in Charlotte, guess what? We had 0 cautions. This race, we've had 1 caution. So,
well, no, they had 1 caution last year, because Colin Fern got wrecked on the opening lap.
Oh, yeah. Well, aside from that, we had an insanely long green flag run. I think the longest green flag run in M&R history. This has to be up there. So I think the solution is, if you get people to race against each other live, maybe they're a little more cautious, they're a little more courteous. It's a lot different to wreck someone in sim racing and not have to be face-to-face with them or go out to eat at Chili's, and have them be mad at you from across the table eating some nachos or something.
I don't know, but we were talking about Adam Cabot closing in on Corey Heim. Forget that. I'm pulled away again. Cabot's falling back. It's pretty much cemented in this top 10. There's a pretty good gap everywhere you look. Perhaps Gary Sexton and Presley Sora. You got to keep in mind that these guys are going to be racing pretty much for points for the next round as well. I'm not 100% positive if points reset for these guys from round to round. If they do, then where they finish doesn't really matter. If they don't, then it definitely matters for guys like Gary Sexton, who was close to the line coming in, and now he's just trying to move along and keep the playoff dream going.
Charlie Brown spun entering pit road with just a couple of laps to go, but it looks like that's not going to matter. All Corey Heim has to do is get to the start-finish line this time by. And Stephen Ellis looks like he's going to be the winner of the DoorDash Award. White flag in the air. One more trip around the Texas Motor Speedway for Corey Heim. A dominating performance. He had a different strategy than Adam Cabot. As Sabile right at the outside of the wall. Heim may have to avoid him, but it looks like Sabile going to be able to hang on.
What? Okay, I was about to say we have a tie, but that was really broken there, so never mind about that. Then it fixed itself, but here they come, Blake.
Off at turn number 4, Corey Heim, for the second time in his Monday Night Racing career, is going to win tonight. Not a playoff contender, but a truly spectacular performance as Corey Heim. He's probably wishing he had joined up a little bit earlier in the season because he could be a contender in this race. You see, he kind of gives a little bit of a celebratory drift that we've seen plenty of times tonight out of Bailey Curry and Leighton Sabile. Great finish for Corey Heim, and I think the playoff picture that we were following up to this point is going to stand. Your 3 drivers out, Matt Stalnick, George Belfans Jr., and Nick Olson going to be eliminated from their chance at a championship here in Season 5.
And they'll just have to come back and try it again next year. There you see Olson more than a race out. 19 points out for George Belfans Jr., and he started the season pretty hot. And same deal with Stalnick. He had a good finish back at Daytona and just kind of rode that momentum through, but it stops tonight. And the 21 of Max Kennan, 15 points to the good. Those guys will continue the race on at Las Vegas and Daytona these next 2 weeks.
Several races left, but at least it's good to get through the opening round as we take a look at your full field results. Corey Heim wins tonight in the... Oh, sorry, my mic went dead there for a second. In the Atlas Hair Products 120 at Texas Motor Speedway is Corey Heim, once again your winner. Adam Cabot brings it home in second. Anthony Alfredo in third. Bailey Turner, great run for that 5 camp. He brings it home in fourth. Fifth goes to Colin Fern, who I guess out of everyone at the Charlotte Esports Hub, he gets some bragging rights when they go out to eat here in a little bit. James Bickford in sixth. Ryan Vargas 7th. David Schildhouse brings it home in 8th. Robbie Lyons 9th. And Presley Soar rounds out your top 10.
Gary Sexton, a great rebound for him. He finishes in 11th. Garrett Smithley finishes 12th. Will Rogers finishes 13th. Ford Martin, the first car, 1 lap down. He finishes in the 14th position. Then Max Kennan, Brandon Brown, Justin Malillo, Josh Slate, Matt Stalnick, and Steve Affront, all 1 lap down, round out the top 20.
21st tonight went to Gabe Wood. 22nd was Dakota Curtis. Seth Eggert finished in 23rd. Bailey Curry in 24th. Mike Clay brought it home 25th, 2 laps down. 26th, Mark Rebillis. 27th was Case Collenbach. 28th, Brett Baldeck. 29th was George Belfans Jr., eliminated tonight. And Brad Perez was 30th. Charlie Brown brought it home in 31st. 32nd was Michael Massey. Finishing in 33rd tonight was Leighton Sabile. 34th was Shane Van Gisbergen. 35th, Stephen Ellis. And Malik Ray did not start the race tonight. He was in the server, but elected not to do the race tonight. So 35 cars contested this Atlas Hair Products 120. And you know what? We're going to hand things over to Eric Estep, who is going to talk real quick to Corey Heim.
Corey, hope you can hear me. Congratulations on the win. Played the fuel strategy right. What was the secret? What got it done for you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good race for me. I qualified on the pole and just kind of saved my tires there throughout the race. I really didn't expect it to go green all the way. I thought Adam had a really good strategy where he pitted in that first stop. In hindsight, I probably would have done the same thing. But, throughout the race, just saving tires, I made a lot of B-fix starts and stuff that kind of helped me get the knowledge I needed to save tires throughout the race and be there at the end. But just really just staying out of trouble, incident free, and being there at the end.
Yeah, we saw, and I'm sure you had a good view of some of those drivers really sliding around, wearing those rear tires out. So how difficult was it to save tires, especially considering the high temperatures out there?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. Old Texas has always been one of my favorites, and that track, this track in Atlanta has always been, the two that have really worn out tires the most. So I knew kind of coming into this race that I needed to save the right rear, and that was kind of my main focus. And I think throughout each and every run, I had the most right rear out of most people. So that really just helped me consistently keep that speed on the long run. And like I mentioned, I'm pretty surprised to win green at the end from lap 15, but came home with the win, so I'm happy with it.
Well, you've had a lot of success here in just a few MNR starts, played playoff spoiler tonight. So how about considering full time next year, maybe going for a championship at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a blast with Monday Night Racing, and I'm really thankful for everyone in the league for letting me come and race. It's been a lot of fun. With all the different varieties of car and track combos, I've definitely figured out the B car more than most other, combinations. So maybe if I can get a little bit more consistent week in and week out, I'll consider running for a championship for sure.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your win tonight. Put on a show. We appreciate you stopping by.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Corey Heim, your winner tonight here at the Texas Motor Speedway. I'll go ahead and chat real quick with your Season 4 champion and Adam Cabot. And Adam, it looked like there for a moment that you kind of had things figured out. You were on a great strategy, but as that played out, didn't seem to play in your favor. What more did maybe you need, or do you think you could have done differently there?
I think I needed Corey Heim to not be in this race because holy crap, he was insane on the long run. Honestly, I didn't really see that coming. I guess I really haven't raced Corey that much, but I'm really happy with the second place finish. Obviously, that advances me, but I thought that this car track combo would perfectly fit in my wheelhouse. And usually I'm one of the better drivers at saving tires in the long run, but every single run, once we got down to the last 10, 15 laps, he just took off, and I kept trying to change up each run what I was doing, but it didn't seem to be enough. If it wasn't for him, I think I'd look like a genius with that strategy at the beginning there, but he just did an amazing job driving and absolutely went out there and earned that one tonight. But that strategy really could have gone either way. I was shocked that I was basically the only one that pit there. I would have been in really, really, really bad shape if there was a late caution. But it seemed like a risk either way to me, honestly. Like if I stayed out there and everyone else pit and then it went green, I would have been just as bad shape. So I didn't really intend to get off sequence, but almost worked out there and would have worked out if Corey Heim didn't do a damn good job driving that race car tonight.
Well, the one thing about Corey Heim is you don't have to worry about competing against that 23 when it comes to the playoffs. You're into the round of 10. Got a couple more tracks here that I think will suit you. So what are the prospects here looking forward to the round of 10?
Yeah, kind of just got to keep digging in the tracks like this where you're not, packed up in a draft and reliant on other drivers. Really try to focus on those and, put together solid finishes there because we got a lot of pack racing coming up here in the last couple rounds. And, that's certainly a skill set, but that really is also a little bit of a crapshoot. So just kind of try to control my own destiny and do what I can do. And like you said, I'm definitely glad that I'm not racing Corey for a championship this season. But if he races full time with this next season, he's going to be a threat for sure.
All right, Adam, we appreciate you catching up with us. Congrats on second, and good luck in the round of 10.
All right, thanks, Blake.
Adam Cabot bringing it home tonight at Texas in second. We'll throw it down to Jacob Hitz, who's caught up with our third place runner tonight, Anthony Alfredo.
Anthony Alfredo coming home in P3 tonight. Man, did you have anything for those two guys in Cabot and Corey Heim?
Absolutely. I just didn't really have a chance because we gave up too much track position in that first run of the race that was, short-lived before that yellow, I was just taking care of my stuff. I felt like I was the best on the long run and, maybe would add a shot at Corey there. But since we gave up that track position that first run and we went green from that restart, we just couldn't make up that much time. I think we did a great job, on pit road on the green flag stops and navigating through traffic other than 2 times. I think a slower car about wrecked in front of us, and we probably gave up about a second and a half both those instances, which maybe would have put us second, but not quite enough to catch the leader. So like I said, just need to be in a better position on that final restart, the second restart of the race, I guess it was, just to be in position. We couldn't make up enough time. But other than that, I mean, third place is nothing to be ashamed of. Finished third at Daytona last week, third this. So I guess third place sweep through the first round of the playoffs. So good enough to make the next one. Hopefully we can steal some wins. But I think I'm most all-time third place finishes and second place finishes in this league. And I think we're close to all-time wins. So continuing that streak, at least.
There you have it. Now, I know you polled your Twitter followers about what paint scheme you wanted to run tonight, and I'm glad the Twitter followers chose the correct option. This is the one that I voted for out of the 4 that you posted, and man, did it look good on the racetrack.
It did look great. It looked phenomenal in real life. Lefty Designs killed it on this scheme along with many of our other ones this year that he's done, all of them, and to have it on iRacing now was cool. So I was glad I was able to allow the fans to decide on Twitter what we'd run tonight. We looked good out there and just came up a couple spots short, but we're happy with it. We'll take it. Ready for the next one.
Well, speaking of that next one, trucks at Las Vegas. Thoughts going into that race next week?
I think that's another race that'll play well into my hands. The only thing with the truck package is it rewards aggressiveness, which never really results in a great outcome in these races for our league. So we'll see how patient guys get. Tonight was a blast just because, you could focus on yourself and running your own race and taking care of your tires. So it got a little bit more spread out, but it kept the racing cleaner and had green flag pit stops and some strategy come into play, which was a blast. But next week, if we don't get those long runs, you can get a little bit spread out in the trucks, but it takes at least 15 laps, and sometimes we don't see that. So I know the few times we have run that combo, I think I maybe won it once. If not, I've definitely been top 3 in that combo a bunch. So I'm looking forward to that one. These playoffs really look good for me as far as the car and track combos, so I'm excited to keep grinding.
Well, best of luck next week, Anthony, and best of luck at Indianapolis as well this weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hope everyone enjoyed watching.
Anthony Alfredo, your third place finisher tonight from Texas Motor Speedway. Blake.
You get a nice shot of the drivers all kind of talking with one another about, I'm sure, a variety of subjects. You see George right there, eliminated from playoff contention tonight, as well as a number of personalities, fans, drivers, everybody in the background there enjoying kind of the after party now, or for some of these, I imagine that's the most fun part of the night as we continue to roll on here. They obviously want to eye that stage and be there on August 29th when we are competing for a Season 5 championship here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. But Jacob, we got 10 drivers, and like they said, next up, Las Vegas trucks, a certain skill set, but still going to be a very tough race right on top of each other. A lot of aggression, as Anthony said, going to be required in that one.
I don't see it playing out like it did tonight, where we were clean pretty much all the way through, only had one caution. We're going to see the caution flag fly a little bit more next week. I don't necessarily think that's going to be a bad thing, though, just because it could spice things up a little bit as well. Next week not being a cutoff, it takes the pressure off a little bit for these playoff guys, but they got to keep in mind the cutoff race for this next round is at Daytona. So anything could happen when we go to Daytona in 2 weeks' time. So if you want to not worry going into that wild card race, you want to have a perfect day when it comes to Las Vegas next week, so you don't find yourself in a must-win situation at one of the hardest racetracks that we're going to go to.
Certainly so. And Eric, again, we've had you around for these last couple of weeks. What's your impressions? You like what you're seeing so far?
I think it's remarkable that we've seen these first two playoff races both come down really to strategy plays. First race, it was David Shieldhouse and his group getting that push when it mattered most to get the win. Tonight, it was all Corey Heim playing playoff spoiler. So Las Vegas next week in the truck's gonna, I think like you guys have alluded to, like Anthony Alfredo was just alluding to, likely gonna be a little different, gonna be something special. So fans, if you've enjoyed what you've seen these first couple weeks, get ready for something completely different. If you haven't enjoyed the racing these first couple weeks, get ready for something completely different. That's like I've said all along, one of my favorite things about Monday Night Racing, and especially about these playoffs, is the variety. Different tracks, different types of cars, drivers who come from all walks of life, all areas of the industry. That's what makes Monday Night Racing special, and I'm looking forward to Las Vegas. Round of 10, going to be exciting.
It really is, and again, we will get that started next Monday night. You can join Eric on the Out of the Groove pre-race show at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Monday night. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Josh Mendoza in Race Control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium eSports, and for our camera builder tonight, Dougie Beard, overlay builder Michael Hall, Cameron Abaddon on social media, and for tonight's broadcast crew, our pre-race show host Eric Eastep, producer Ryan Bauer, and my colleague in the broadcast booth, Jacob Hitz. I am Blake McCandless saying so long tonight for the virtual Texas Motor Speedway, where we bid you farewell and congratulations to tonight's winner of the Atlas Hair Products 120, Corey Heim.